Do you remember back to those heady days before Final Fantasy 15 released, when the game's director, Hajime Tabata, just couldn't stop talking about things and being brutally honest when answering questions fielded by Fuji-san on those active time reports? Yeah, me neither, and actually they were kind of good times. One of the things he said during that time actually was in relation to recurring characters who might appear, and in his response, he spoke about Gilgamesh. Now, one of the things he didn't say was that Gilgamesh is going to be added into the game as DLC. In fact, he was very clear about the fact he wouldn't be in the game. And as he put it, he chose to put another classic character in the game instead of Gilgamesh. At the time, I remember there was actually quite a negative vibe associated to this decision. Well, it looks like Tabata has trolled us yet again, as you've guessed it. Yep, Gilgamesh is going to be appearing in Final Fantasy 15. Now, I know you could technically argue that Tabata is correct. He isn't going to be in the main game, he's being added via DLC, but still, I think that kind of counts. Anyway, so yes, Gilgamesh is going to be added into Final Fantasy 15 via the upcoming DLC pack called Episode Gladiolous, which of course is part of the announced Season Pass. This was announced in a short interview with the DLC director Haruyoshi Sawatawi, which came to light today. In this interview he said the player confronts an enemy called Gilgamesh, which can only be seen in episode Gladio. Quite a clear statement. The context here, and I don't think it's really much of a spoiler, is that during the game, Gladiolous leaves the party for a bit to go and do something. He doesn't want to talk about it before he leaves, and he definitely doesn't want to talk about it when he returns, even though he actually returns with a massive scar on his face. To be honest, it was probably the most blatant piece of setup work for a DLC pack I think I've ever seen in my life. Based on this, we can of course infer that either he went off to try and lay the smackdown on Gilgamesh, or that Gilgamesh interrupted whatever he was actually trying to do, and they ended up having a duel. I guess we'll have to wait until the DLC pack actually launches to figure out whether he was successful or not in said duel. I mean, it's not too outlandish to think they could have actually had a draw. Despite a little bit of ire directed at Tabata for his mind games from my side, I'm not angry, I swear. I think this edition is actually pretty cool, and I'm actually really curious to see if the other DLC packs for Ignis and Prompto will also see classic Final Fantasy characters returning in some shape or form. I mean, Gilgamesh really is part of the Final Fantasy furniture at this point. After his debut in Final Fantasy V, he's appeared in a whole host of other Final Fantasy games, most recently appearing as a dim-witted opponent to Bartz in World of Final Fantasy. Aside from the promise of a rather epic battle and character model, which really could be rather outlandish, at this point I'm wondering if he's going to use a similar weapon shifting mechanic to Noctis due to the amount of arms he has, or whether he's just going to have a load of arms that have loads of different weapons that attacks you all at once. That could be pretty cool in itself, but I'm also really excited for another very particular reason. It means we're going to get another arrangement of Clash on the Big Bridge, and fingers crossed, it will be done by Yoko Shimomura. I know that Lauren is rather partial to the arrangement that appeared in Final Fantasy XIII Part 2, so we'll just have to see if it can match that fine piece of musical work. As an addendum to this news, Sawatari-san also said that in episode Gladio, you're going to be able to go to areas that you just couldn't get to in the main game. To me, this suggests that they're going to be adding an additional map similar to how we saw other areas outside of Lucis handled in the main game. Hopefully it's of a decent size, allowing exploration and perhaps even some new dungeons that you can try and complete. So how do you guys feel about the addition of Gilgamesh into the game via episode Gladiolous? I'm guessing you're going to be pretty pumped. I know I am. How many of you ended up actually getting the season pass in the end? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. See you next time guys, this is Daryl, signing out.